Hey everybody, so Adam Sykes, I'm from Deloitte. I work in our Deloitte engineering practice, and I've spent a lot of time over the past 2 years working on internal developer portals. Two areas. One is internal developer portals for customers. Customers of cloud platforms and general service platforms that want to IDP. And then also recently, Deloitte ourselves. So we're going through our own internal developer portal journey. And so I'm bringing that expertise into the firm. So I have kind of both of those hats as a consumer and a provider, which is really cool.
And I'm Christophe Fargette, product manager at Red Hat on the Developer Hub, which is our offering based on Backstage. So we'll talk about a bit more later.
Great. So our agenda, we're just going to establish a little bit of ground on what we're talking about when we talk about platform engineering. I'm going to take some time to talk about why Deloitte chose Developer Hub for IDP. The living and expanding portal is my area to talk about, what is your beginning of the portal, how does it move and change to adapt to where your organization is and what you want to put inside. Christophe's going to take the enterprise security, and then the template and inner source culture is something I like to spend some time on to think about what goes in your portal, and a lot of topics around, hey, can I use this portal to spur collaboration with my organization? And then we'll recap. So what is platform engineering? So here, platform engineering really is the idea of taking your organization's capabilities, building the tool chains and workflows into something that's symbiotic, something that is easy to consume as a consumer, but also easy to maintain and expose and clear to use as a infrastructure engineer. It really is a discipline over just purely a product because it's about the efficiency, it's about removing the friction, and so it's more than installing a product and connecting to the next one. Does the flow work? Have we thought about the edge cases? And so that's how platform engineering has really come through and has started to build the foundation for when internal developer platforms take over for that persona of a developer. So Gartner named platform engineering as one of the top 10 strategic technology trends for 2024. This is, and it predicts by 2026, 80% organizations will adopt this. I think everybody's had a variety of experiences of your organization choosing platform engineering or thinking about it, or really putting a token on top of, we're going to build this platform engineering under these principles versus just infrastructure or technology management, really going after platform engineering. So really big trend, really great thing to be a part of and also own for your organization. So I want to do just quick crowd poll. And so who here would say they align to like technical team leadership? Okay. Who here is more on the app development side? Okay. And then who's more on the platform engineering side? So here we have a strong platform engineering group with some stakeholdership from leadership and app development. And second question, who's running an IDP, internal developer platform, like a developer portal in their organization? Okay, so a couple people have started that journey. I'd like to ask this crowd poll because the developer portal really is symbiotic of platform engineering come together to make their infrastructure automated and accessible, app teams going to a singular place to use that platform as easily and as quickly as possible and give that feedback, and team leadership making sure it's coming together. What do we need? What are we going to prioritize? Are we hitting our goals, and are we able to do something really great with this, right? So IDPs really bring everybody together, even though they can be seen as purely a developer's portal. So Deloitte made the choice for Developer Hub, and I like to call it the journey of the magic button. Later on when we talk about templates, bringing all that infrastructure and all that automation together and something that's easy to understand, easy to find, and easy to create is really an important part of the journey. So why did we choose DevHub to power IDP? So we chose DevHub because we started a journey with Backstage. The flexibility, the configuration, the ability to turn that portal into what you want to for your organization was really compelling. And it really helped us have good conversations with customers when we started about what do you want to look like and how can we fasten it to make it exactly what you want. So when DevHub came and produced a managed version that's going to take care of the upgrades, take care of the enterprise support, this is a really great opportunity for us as an internal developer organization to create more on top of the IDP and spend less time managing the IDP itself. And also as direct collaborators with Red Hat, we had a really great backlog of discussion of what we wanted to do and produce, and then them coming to kind of come to the bat for us and create that feature. The other part of choosing DevHub is that if you think of the long set of features between Backstage, what DevHub does to get that ready, my team that builds developer experience additions and plugins and automation, and even across our organization as we have other people produce developer portal versions or templates, by having a similar stack, you're able to have this hyper backlog of features that every year, every 3 months when you look at what features are coming, it's not just out of one product or out of your own effort, it's this long list of features across all those lines. So that's the main reason why we chose DevHub. I like to show this area as 5 of the top hits for what I coach in producing a really great IDP scenario. I'll go over them quickly and kind of move on to the next one. The first is you want a central and accessible portal. Central as in, hey, there's 1 or 2, there's not 15 in your organization, so it's easy for someone to say, go to the portal and do that thing. The other part is that it's connected to the development platforms and accessible. There should be low to no friction to be able to get in, find something, and get value out of the portal. If there's too much friction, you're back to the old part of platform infrastructure where I can't get to something that I need to, or I need to talk to a bunch of people. The second thing that's really important that we've kind of taken with this is making services easily discoverable. How quickly can I intersource? How can I start something? So this is where that central platform being connected, being able to query and say, hey, can you find me a template that does something? Can you find an infrastructure team to support me? Is really great. And if you think about your organization, you need to ask a simple question. How easily can you ask a system, hey, I need a group that supports this, or I need to start a project in cloud native engineering for serverless? Do you have to go through different tribal knowledge and spur around? How can it be central? The third one is templating and automation. We'll talk about this later, but rethinking about how you deliver automation software through what can I put into a box and what can I easily seed out to a team who wants it versus asking a couple people to help you get it running within your system. The fourth one is just inspiring collaboration and development for greater impact. The inspiring part is when you can grab something and get it working and you can start a new technology quickly within your organization. It's really exciting to get into something that's new. The friction is low, and so when you have that surge of you had a lunch with a couple guys, you want to go out and you want to start something new, if you could do that quickly, you're going to get to that inter-source collaboration sooner. And then last one's continuously plan and new and exciting features, right? Always think about what's next, what goes in the portal. When you deliver an IDP, we have long talks about all the features that are not only available with someone who's interested in IDP, but also everything that's coming. And it makes it feel like it's going to grow and meet all the needs that I need to, instead of hide all those behind a curtain, and I'm only going to get a couple features out of the front. So this is just a place of where we stuck this in our offering. This is the entire stack of software that we bring to organizations, cloud platforms, tool chains, and then you can see the developer portal and telemetry level. That's where we put this, and that's the need that we met with DevHub and the automation. So we can go to cloud platforms and bring any layer, including the developer experience layer. And even at the top, we have a bunch of templates that we put inside. And so really, this is a way for us to be able to come to somebody and say, hey, can we build this with you? We'll bring any layer that's needed for that automation, take out pieces that are there, and then have a really rich discussion about, do you feel like all these layers come together and do you have the automation? So this is our Deloitte Software Factory, and that's where we put the developer experience layer at the top. A living expanding portal. So the note that I'll just share kind of with the living expanding portal is Backstage and all the plugins that go are constantly coming out with new features. You also have the ability to make your own plugins. So when you're thinking about your IDP and your platform, taking requirements and spending the time to say, how can I actually build something, either an assembly of features that are already outside of Backstage, or you're only one plugin away or one configuration away from changing a 5-step process into a 1-step process, or taking a complex tool and elevating out insights that are important for a persona like an app developer. This usually happens in areas of security, observability, deployment status, and networking, right? These are really great areas to elevate platform challenges up into an app developer and give them something actionable. The expanding portal is something that I would say is you look at your IDP and you get one vertical really great. one set of personas, always socializing with those personas as I go to the next slide, and establishing at this layer, who are the other people that I'm going to try to meet at their needs, right? Am I going to go and find the developers, the DevOps, the data scientists, and what do I need to build underneath it? There are lots of services that come together to bring all these features for these personas, but data scientists have different needs from app developers. So I just like to show this slide to really help think about the architecture of what do you need in truly automate your platform. And then I'll just take one step in to highlight the process, workflow, and orchestration. It's easy to skip over this step, but if you think of building a magic button in your portal where you click it and it runs out across a bunch of your infrastructure, are your tools ready to receive that automation? Do they have good APIs? Do they have good CLIs? Do they have parameter-based workloads? All these things are great when you select tools in your journey from an IDP and buy tools that are going to be easy to integrate in that process. Great. So I'm going to hand it over to
Thank you, Adam. So like we mentioned, the Backstage is used for the product. That's an open source tool. Actually, that's a framework to build an IDP. So you will have lots of, in the living and expanding portal, you will have to keep it up to date. And unfortunately, you have monthly or at least very frequently updates. And you always have to go in the source code. So sometimes it can be fairly straightforward. Sometimes that will require a lot more time. And you will have to obviously rebuild and redeploy Backstage. So if you have that as your IDP, that could take several weeks based on your environment to go through the different test environments. And you have also lots of breaking changes. So it's a very active project. That's great, adding lots of new features all the time. And you will have breaking changes. Sometimes they are announced in the release notes, sometimes they do not. And other type of changes will be in terms of architecture. So they will, for example, change how the plugins will work in Backstage. So then you will have to go not just the IDP itself, but all your plugins and update them. So that will take lots of time and also require some technical knowledge, because that will be based in JavaScript and TypeScript. So that's not necessarily all organization having that specific skills. So with the Developer Hub, we provide Backstage as a container, so that it will be a lot easier for you to upgrade. And we also provide dynamic plugins that will be taking just any community plugins or even your own custom plugins and add them with a wrapper, and you can automatically load them into the Developer Hub. So then you don't need to manage the code, or that will be a lot easier to manage your plugins. And that will be compatible with any existing plugins that are available to the community. And we extend this mechanism of dynamic plugins to not just plugins, but also for loading themes. And in early 2025, that would be to load auth providers. So if you have also custom authentication providers, you will be able to load that as well through the IDP. And the plugins can be a bit complex to manage, even if it's dynamic plugins, like with configuration as code. We're going to have early next year a marketplace. So think about like an app store or like an operator style where you can find the plugins and install them and configure them from this place. So now I'm going to talk about RBAC and just security in general. If you are using Backstage, unfortunately, the default is open. They want to enable the visibility across teams, but that's not necessarily how that works with large enterprises, and especially when it's regulated. So we do have an RBAC plugin that you can install, or if you're using the Developer Hub, that will be already available out of the box. So there you can just manage your roles and personas, add any groups or users to those roles that will be coming from your LDAP or Active Directory, and then you can configure the different policies per plugin to fine-tune each control that your users will have to the portal. And then we have different things like conditional policies that you can also use with RBAC. And by default, that would be denied. So nobody can see anything in the portal until you allow them the access. I just want to go quick through the audit logging. It's not super entertaining as a feature, but it's mandatory and required for the heavily regulated organizations. So Backstage does not have that out of the box. That's something that we offer. We're working with upstream to have that for everybody in the community. But if you need audit logging, that will be included as well. And then I will give it back to Adam.
Great. I'm going to highlight kind of these two slides quickly to kind of meet our time. So this is the main, if I would say there's one metric that everybody says, how can I track something to think about how IDPs can be better? It's speed to first commit. So how fast, from the time of trying to start a project, can you finish your first change? Can I enter a team, sit down on my computer, find what we're working on, create a component, and actually commit the first piece of code back and get it deployed? It's so important because I think it rallies around the first business proposition that we have for platform engineering is let me get you up and clearly running and productive as fast as possible. The second part on the left is template ideas. I like to sprinkle these in. Here's just a couple ideas that I have. Across it, I won't read each one, but the part that I would emphasize here is it's not just about starting one singular application component inside the cluster. As you start to go down, you're going to find the automation to be able to reach out and take components and stitch them together, meet different workflows that are outside of this. So as you build your IDP platform, don't think of it as just one singular repository that's given to a user, but also think about what calls you can make out to go register something in a little bouncer, create a group, pass a key back to a template. All these different workflow automations really bring the power out of a 10-step IT automation process across 3 teams into maybe one click with some automation inside there. So really great for that template ideas. There's a lot of tips on the right, and I'm glad to talk about them. But at the bottom, I'm just going to put a plug for making your own plugins. When you choose something like DevHub, you have the ability to just open up JavaScript in the plugin system and make something that's going to jump into your platform and meet that need or meet the direct need of your users. Recently, I just created a learning path plugin that has a whole dynamic flow to be able to grab different nodes and create it together and allow somebody to guide an individual through the portal and through external resources to learn, self-service learning. We needed something, there wasn't something out there for that specific need, so we put a sprint together and created it, and then people are really using it and loving it. So just think also about, I could just make a plugin to meet my need. I don't have to depend on external pieces. Here, inner source code, idea, learning, and support. There's lots of bullets within it. But what I would highlight is each one of the boxes has kind of a purpose. So the support and growth is the one that I want to highlight here. Think about when you try to reach out for help in your company, who's going to help you jump in and fix that problem? Or if you create something you share to somebody else, do you support them when they have trouble getting it running or they want a feature? How do you get connected? So having an IDP is a really great way when you're going to one place and creating components and you can open that project to an individual, they can instantly resume what you're looking at. I can go to that catalog item, see where your pipeline is, see the code commits that you created, and make a push together. And if you have a whole cloud IDE system, I just plug, you can instance a version of that application separately from all your laptop configuration, get them the fix they need, and resume what you need to. Think about the flexibility to be able to jump into team support, and then also the eminence of being able to create a really well-used component across your organization. It's really great and also allows SMEs to be able to jump around teams and really accelerate your org. So I'm going to pass it back to the orchestrator.
Yes, so actually that's the last slide. So the templates is really a core features from Backstage that enables the self-service. So that's really where all your developers or IT teams will be able to create some infrastructure or applications from just one place. Unfortunately, the system can be a bit limited. That will be executing like simple tasks, and as long as they are successful, that would be okay. If you have to resume because you have errors, then that can be a bit challenging. So we're having an orchestrator to kind of extend the default scaffolder from Backstage, where you will be able to apply some specific workflows, run tasks in parallel, even add approvals. So for example, if you have to, in your workflow, create some tickets in ServiceNow and wait for someone to approve it and resume or cancel that flow, then you will be able to do that with the orchestrator that is a plugin in the developer hub. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks. That's our talk. Yeah, we have 15 seconds left, so I don't know how much time there is for questions, but
I think
there's a mic right there.
I've got one question. If you'd like to, please come up to the mic. Yeah, why not do it? Let's do it.
Great talk. Thank you for sharing all of this. One of the challenges we've had with our customers is measuring the ROI of this kind of initiatives. You know, when we go to the CTO and say, hey, I need X amount of budget, high level, how do you measure the success and how do you prove this to leadership? You know, especially after you build all, or even before building all of this.
Right. So 2 ideas. One of them is if you have good measurement about how your organization behaves currently, it's easier to make an insight of how much faster you can move. So if you know it takes a team a week or 2 weeks to start a new individual, and this can take 2 days, that's one item. So first is make sure you measure current state before you try to introduce a developer portal. The second part I would say is cognitive complexity. So how many tools that each team needs to understand times every organization team, and then using that to bring together an idea for a CTO to say, hey, here's how teams can easily and understandably be productive and increase their productivity engineering. So I think complexity is a really important thing. To have tool sprawl, the amount of automation within tool sprawl, and then divide that by the time that you need to. I have a lot of metrics, glad to kind of talk about them afterwards, but 2 ideas about measuring where you are and measuring where you're going to through the portal, and then cognitive complexity across tools are two main areas.
Questions?
Any more questions at all?
Yep, we have one there.
Oh, we've got one? Okay, fantastic.
Sorry.
Let me bring the mic over to you.
Yeah, so when it comes to the platform, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so how can you control kind of like platform misuse? Let's say, for example, I have a small app and I want kind of like give my developers kind of control over how they want to provision it. And let's say I'm using like, for example, 16 gig of memory, 8 core of CPUs for a very simple app, which can end up kind of like costing us a lot of money. So is there some guide rails over there on the platform to control it?
Yeah, I would say that depends how your organization works. Definitively with the templates, you can predefine like a t-shirt size template. So if you have like testing apps or like mission critical apps, then you can have more or less resources. We do have plugins for like cost management or resource optimization that can also provide that kind of information over time. If your application is consuming too much resources that they don't need to, then you can automatically tweak as well. So I think you have different strategy for that.
Yeah, the other thing you can do is externalize the provisioning of the sensitive resources to an orchestration, and then take in those parameters and evaluate standard set, and if you want to ask for an exception, then it can submit a separate job. If you contain everything in a scaffolder and give it to them, then that can have some platform abuse that you're talking about, where they can update their variables. But if you externalize that out to an orchestrator and control that resource, then you can still give the self-service while retaining control. Something like AAP would allow you to do that.
Okay. My question is, if your organization wanted to adopt what you guys went over, how will you do that, and how do you measure your success? Like if your team comes and helps us to adopt these ideas that you guys share with us, how would you measure that you really improve and it was value added to the team, to the company?
Right, so 2 ideas there. The first one is it depends on the initial purpose of the IDP platform. Is it for app modernization, or is it for exposing your platform engineering as it is into your current applications? For app modernization, I think the performance of how fast can I get a team running, how fast can they create the first minimum viable product, and then for refactor, depending on apps, what tools allowed me to meet an app modernization objective in 3 months versus 1 year. So I think setting the app modernization objectives is the first bit. I think the second bit is around resource consolidation and tool consolidation. So if you start an IDP platform, a new Golden State IDP, you choose your tools for your CI/CD, and then you get your applications onto that platform, you can reduce spend and sprawl, and you can also reduce time used on external tools like, am I in my cloud platform trying to troubleshoot my cluster, or is the way that the platform engineering team has created easy Kubernetes management taking my DevOps hours from 40 hours to 30 hours. So that last part is a combination of consolidation, ease of use, speed to first commit, but then for each team, can I measure the time that they're spending in each one of their vectors of app development, resource requirements planning, and platform engineering, and taking those hours down. I would say the third plug is we've seen IDP platforms as here's the new Golden State platform to move to containerization management, and just powering external systems down is another thing that you can do. If you want to move from one platform to another one, you can plan a smaller IDP with higher automation and efficiency that's going to have good ROI over the current legacy system and allow people to modernize. So maybe that's a third idea.
Okay. So this is something you guys are offering, or just teaching us how to do it?
Yeah, so Deloitte offers it as that one slide with our software factory slide. That's our standard offering. That's kind of my day in, day out what I do. And then Red Hat Developer Hub is the product offered by Red Hat. And then what Deloitte does is takes that and puts all the different plugins and automation in to build Developer Hub and be able to bring it to a customer, right? So that's kind of how we bring it together.
Just one last thing. So how do you measure the success? That part was not too clear to me. So like,
yeah,
you come in, we use Red Hat, we use Deloitte, and then you apply it, and then how do you measure success?
Yeah, so first success can be reduction of cost by moving to a smaller automated platform. Second success, if you're going to modernize a bunch of applications, is the speed for how fast it's going to take. So it depends on how you measure your current cost for app modernization. Third is going to be reduced resource requirements. So can you move to a centralized managed hosted environment and move away from individual team hosted systems. And then fourth would be if you have a lot of engineers entering your organization or moving between teams, can you measure what that onboarding time is to get people productive, right? So those are kind of 4 different areas that you can use for ROI.
Yeah, I think this is one of the key aspects. You have to get those metrics before, like, if you want to understand where you are at.